How's it going, guys? It's Friday night. You know what that means. Another edition of the Mutant XPerience podcast, the only podcast solely dedicated to covering the American Third Strike scene. And oh, what a beautiful scene it is, especially tonight with my special guest, Cincinnati's favorite Oro player. It is none
Hi,
other
it's me.
than Monoxide. Or when I first saw his name, I was like, "One Oxide," because I'm not a left brain person, so I looked at it and I was like, "What is that? One side, and I go, oh, okay, I get it." You know,
It's shorter that way.
but all scientists get that right away, right? Or all people that know about science. Dude, I was so horrible in science. I was so bad when I
I
was.
took BChem and I wanted to die, and then I quit taking science classes.
Dude, science sucks. Anyway, so welcome, Monoxide, aka Vince. Is it all right if I call you Vince?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, all
that
right.
seems easier. Sorry, I was
So,
reading a thing.
oh no, it's all cool. It's all cool. It's all cool. So, for those of you who aren't too aware of who Monoxide is, Monoxide, aka Vince, is a fighting game player based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. You play mostly at the famous arcade Legacy venue,
Yeah,
Monoxide's been making some noise lately with his Midwestern style Oro, which we'll get to later in the podcast. But thanks for coming on the podcast, man. You know, like
yeah. Thanks for having me.
one of the reasons why I asked you to come on is because, dude, there's just been wow, the Midwest has been putting in some work when it comes to Third Strike. I mean, they've just been well, whether it's putting on events or people starting to stream Third Strike or buying cabs or just there seems to have been a it seems like a lot of the activity when it comes to the American Third Strike scene, a lot of it's been in the Midwest these last couple years. It's just pretty crazy considering, like, historically, right? Third Strike has been a very sort of East versus West.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's only fitting, right? Because when you think about it, the start of American Third Strike really is in the Midwest. Maybe
Is that
one
those
could argue.
Nebraska boys?
I'm referring more to Nebraska, right? Because that's really the first time that Japanese players came to America to play Third Strike, and of all the places they went to Nebraska. So I guess it's only fitting that the Midwest is holding it down and really sort of increasing their activity, and you've been a big part of that, right, Vince. I mean, you've been playing. And let's talk before we talk a little bit about Third Strike, though. Like, how did you get into, like, just gaming in general, dude? Like video games.
Uh, I mean, I was a kid and my friend had an NES, so then I needed one too. I mean,
Sick.
basically, and now here I am.
Something I always ask my guests: did you know how to use the robot
Robot. I never saw the robot until
gyromite?
I was like, oh, I didn't know it existed.
Oh, okay, never mind then. Because I remember I got Nintendo very early on when they still included the robot for a
Oh,
game
I
called
never saw it.
Gyromite, and I never knew how to work. Anyway, so yeah, so you pretty much got a Nintendo that kind of started things for you, right?
Yeah, that was the thing. The Super Mario's Duck Hunt
Hmm.
like double pack thing.
Hmm. So when it comes to fighting games, though, I mean, did you like sort of get into it with Street Fighter 2, or was it later
I
on,
mean,
or what's?
I played. I mean, like everybody, like yeah, I played Street Fighter 2.
Yeah,
Like it
everyone
was
played
every
it, right? Yeah.
there was a Walmart with a Street Fighter 2 cab. So like my
Wow.
mom would go to get groceries, and I was like pushing these buttons. But I didn't like really like the first game I really tried to like get good at was probably like Soul Calibur 2,
Oh,
which
okay.
is also a pretty Midwest thing, I guess. There's like a lot of really good Midwest Soul Calibur 2 players.
Okay, cool, cool. So Soul Calibur 2, and then like, were you like in high school or college? Not to give too
Uh,
much away, right?
I think Soul Calibur 2 would have been high school. I'm pretty old.
Yeah, high school. Okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
before JFs even existed.
Okay. So what did you? So how deep into the Soul Calibur thing did you get into?
I mean that never really went beyond just like local friends and stuff. I went to the nearest arcade a couple of times and got jacked up by people who had like a scene and stuff.
Hmm.
But like Soul Calibur 4 and 5. I went out for tournaments and stuff with that.
Hmm.
Uh,
So
it was
so you were you born and raised in Ohio?
no, I'm actually from Michigan. Like
You're
the
from
song
Michigan, okay?
we do this thumb thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a big pro
Yeah.
wrestling. Well, I'm not that big of a pro wrestling fan, but there's this wrestler. He's from Michigan supposedly. God, I try to remember his
Oh,
name. Gosh,
I don't know.
help
We
me
we
out,
could
stream. There's a wrestler. There's a wrestler. Actually, there were two wrestlers. They were a tag team. They were called the Motor City something.
I have no idea.
But whatever. But anyway, that was their thing. They would do the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what side it is. Anyway, yeah. But anyway, okay. So you were born and raised in Michigan. Whereabouts in
Yeah.
Michigan?
You talked to the PGN guys last year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, like kind of same area as them, like
Oh,
Saginaw Bay City.
oh, okay. Great, great, great. So one of the things that one of the things that I didn't really get to talk to the Poverty Game Night boys about was just like what was the sort of the scene like back in those days? Like, was there a scene like you
Yeah, there
know?
were always people who played in Saginaw.
Huh?
Uh, like there were, I think there were two malls back then, and they each had their own arcade or
Hmm.
something. But there were like a couple arcades. There was like an Aladdin's Castle, and at some point there was a Tilt. And like people went out there, they had tournaments and stuff. I wasn't like too involved with that, but
Hmm.
I went out there once in a while and saw people.
And what do you think was the by far the most popular game when you were growing up?
I think, I mean, at least where I played, it was probably like Tekken,
Tekken. Okay.
like Tekken 2. Played a
Hmm.
lot of Tekken 2 and Tekken 3.
Hmm. So let's so how did you start sort of getting into like the FGC, right? Like, like how did that sort of start?
That was like Street Fighter 4. Yeah, Street Fighter 4 and Soul Calibur 4.
Oh, okay.
Because those came out kind of around the same time. I think Soul Calibur came out on at least like console in America
Uh-huh.
like 6 months earlier or something like that.
Hmm.
And I knew a guy, Dave, from BL Dave from Saginaw. And he's one of those really good Soul Calibur players. So I played with him, and I went out to I don't know if you know Crow, like Crow Winters. He's like a Texas guy now. He's
I've heard of the name before. I've heard my friend Haas mention him before. It's definitely ringing a bell.
Yeah, he used to run locals in his apartment in Detroit. He's like a Michigan guy.
Mhm.
So like I going to those locals is like really where I got started, and from there like I met some people who were involved with the Detroit scene, and they were running Street Fighter 4 tournaments at a this really like dingy, I don't even know what to call it, like LAN center thing, I guess. There's like 12-year-old kids playing Call of Duty and like
Uh,
a bunch of like really loud fighting game players yelling at them. So they were running Street Fighter 4 locals there, and that was actually where I first played Third Strike. Well, not like very first played it, but the first time I played in a tournament,
uh,
I showed, and they were just like, "Hey, we got this PS2 and Third Strike. Like, let's run this bracket. Can we get 8 people?" And we did. So that's where I played.
oh, awesome. Well, since you mentioned it, do you remember the first time you played Third Strike?
Yeah,
Not
I think
really.
it was like GGPO, like 2007 GGPO.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So you first played Third Strike online. That's
yeah,
cool.
I'm one of those guys.
Now when you got one of those guys, so when you discovered it, right? Were you playing pretty much consistently online or
Yeah,
no? It
like
was just
I didn't know anybody else who played Third Strike.
uh,
I mean, that was like after like I thought Street Fighter was dead. People just played like Tekken and stuff now.
mhm,
That was just a friend of mine who like played Third Strike when he was a kid, and he was like, "Let's play this on this thing."
mhm.
And so we just played like once a week for a while. I don't know how long.
And so tell me a little bit about your eventual sort of decision to main Oro. Like
Uh,
how did this sort of come about? Because
it's a
like to me like and don't please don't take this the wrong way, Vince, but like you need to be a very you need to be a really special guy to
yeah,
want to main a character like Oro. You know what I mean?
yeah, I get that a lot.
Like I've never met an Oro player that was just like a normal dude. Like there's nothing wrong with like a normal dude, right? Like there's nothing wrong with it's like just you know what I mean? But you know what I mean,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like so I'm always like when I meet an Oro player, I'm always like waiting for that other shoe to drop, Like okay, so what's really like weird, but like like not weird, like super weird, but like cool
Weird but
weird, or like
unblockable.
you know what I mean? Like there's always for some reason I always have this feeling like Oro players are like there's
I
something
mean,
special about them.
I
But
don't
anyway, go
I don't know
ahead.
a lot of other Oro players, so I don't really know.
so
Uh,
so how'd you get into like Oro and all that stuff?
the reason I started playing Oro is really dumb. I don't remember why I watched this video, but it was like I don't know, it was probably Thanatos or Dirty Music, like one of those guys, because they have a lot of videos. It was easy to find. And I just saw like I'd been playing Third Strike, just like playing random characters, didn't really know. And I saw this dude Thanatos do like the Tengu combo. You get into the corner, you just do like 6 heavy kicks in a row. And I was like, that combo, that's pretty funny because you just do like the same move. And I don't know why, but that's just really funny to me. So that's why I started playing Oro because I wanted to do that combo to people.
Hmm.
That's the whole reason I started.
Dude, there's so many like when I think about Oro, right? Like probably like the godfather of American Oro is probably Hungby
Mm-hmm.
from SoCal,
Yeah,
and
that Ricky Ortiz Humvee video, Humbag
it's
video.
or the Rao Hungby video,
Yeah,
because it was like Hungby was one of those first players that were like, wow, like that really sort of approached Third Strike in its like basic essence, which is basically put you in a situation where you have to guess. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And
Guess or die.
he was you know back like in the mid 2000s whenever the Japanese came. It was American players didn't really pose too much of a threat to them. But Hungby would always give a lot of the Oro players, especially the Chun players, a run for their money. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Especially like you were
yeah,
talking about that 100% stun with
yeah.
Tengu. But interestingly enough, he didn't really use SA2 very much. He was primarily an SA3 player,
Mm-hmm.
a Tengu Stone player. But like to me, like he's really sort of the godfather of American Oro. And then I moved to New York, and then I met Tinshi, who is probably like sort of the East Coast godfather of American Oro. And but yeah, like there's just all it's they're few and far between, right? But but Oro always seems to, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Well, like what sort of, aside from the combos, right? Like what have you grown to sort of appreciate about the character?
Uh, I don't know. I feel like I've just played him so much. Like,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I can play like Ken and some like I can play Shadows or whatever. I've been
Uh-huh.
trying to branch out to other characters recently,
Yeah.
but I think it's just that I've played him for so long that even if there are situations where he's not the best in, and maybe he doesn't have the best buttons, like I just know when to do them well enough that like I don't. I guess I don't feel like I have to think very much
Uh-huh.
anymore. It's just like, oh, I'm in this spot. Medium kick works. Like do that.
Yeah, it's your
Um,
it's muscle memory, right? You play
yeah,
enough, and then you repeat certain situations enough where you just already know what your
yeah. So
options are. Yeah.
I don't know that it's even necessarily like I just like love those things. It's just kind of like I've just played him so much. He's just kind of my dude in the game. I know what to do now. So I'm actually like just kind of stuck on him. I think
Huh. Well, what do you mean by that? Stuck on him? Like,
I don't know. I just play other characters and they have better buttons, but I'm like I don't know what to do with this guy. I just want to play RO and just get my hit and win the game. That's a good point. I like not letting people play because like if they play, then they might win. And like even if somebody's really good,
uh-huh.
like I just have to get one hit and then they're not allowed to play anymore and I can win and like move on and just like think about the match or whatever I need to
Uh-huh.
do and it's fine.
Uh-huh.
So like that whole like if I do the thing I just win,
Uh-huh.
like I like that.
Yeah. That's funny you say that because, like, speaking as someone who's been a recipient of many
Yeah,
a Yagodama loop, there's this what are you thinking while you're doing the loop? Because I know what I'm thinking. Like, it's like a mixture of like anger and salt, and like, oh wait, I gotta like, I might still be able to parry out of this. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
if I pick like the one out of like the 20 combinations, right? Like the 20 options that this oral player has to guard break me. You know what I mean? Like, I might
Yeah.
pick the one right one. So like, like I know what I'm thinking and what I'm like sort of feeling while I'm getting caught in the loop. But what are you thinking, dude? Like,
I'm just like, oh, that guy got hit. Just don't drop this. Time to win the game. And then I just sit back and like, I really concentrate a lot on the sound of my buttons when I'm doing it. I
yeah,
think more than anything.
yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because, like, really, to be honest, the only thing that should be on your mind is not fucking up, right?
Yeah.
But like, and it's like you're doing the same thing over. How hard can it be? But like, just kind of talk me through that. Like, how did
Well,
you get so proficient and to the point where you like just almost never fuck up? You know.
it's pretty easy on most of the cast.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only ones that it's really hard on are like twins because you
Mm-hmm.
can only do it if you catch them out of an air parry. So you have to like be really careful about that initial distance height that you hit them at. But once you get them, that's fine. It's technically doable on Hugo. Have you ever watched the Kuroda Oro video when he fights that Hugo?
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I've
He
seen
keeps
it.
doing medium punch, chicken kick, and it always whiffs. He never gets it. But
Mm-hmm.
what he's going for there is if you late cancel the first hit, it's really strange. It's like the first hit hits, and then it stops. Then they move a little bit, and then the
Mm-hmm.
second hit hits. So you have to kind of get him in that in between space. You do the
Mm-hmm.
cancel, and it'll hit Hugo. It's actually a 2 frame window.
Wow.
You could technically do it. I've never done it, but it's possible.
Oh wow.
So it's really hard on him, and it's hard on Shotos. But like outside of like the characters that it's basically impossible on, it's like Shotos are hard, and then everybody else, it's pretty free to get it. You just have to watch the height.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the big characters, Alex, Necro. It's really easy on Chun and Makoto. Pretty easy on like Elena. Elena looks funny, like she looks like she's gonna drop, but it's fine. It's just like same as like Shoryu on her. It looks weird, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like I said, you only really have to practice on Shotos. Once you get it down with Shotos, you can do it to everybody except
Mm-hmm.
Hugo.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, basically, when I get that hit, the only thing I have to think about is, do I think this guy can parry or not?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I think you can parry out of it, you can do either like there's just different stuff you do. Like you do the normal loop is you do your loop and you do neutral jump, forward jump, and land on them with a medium kick.
Mm-hmm.
If they parry, you do forward jump, neutral jump, and land on them with a heavy kick, and that messes up the parry timing. Or if you're really worried, like this guy, like I'm playing Rick or something, you do a really fast neutral jump, forward jump, and it's just empty jump. You land and go low short, and that'll break guard if they're trying to parry the left right, and then you just go back into it. So the only thing I worry about, like you said, is like don't fuck up the combo, and then do I think this guy knows how to? Do I need to do like an anti-parry setup?
Mm-hmm. Now, how did you, kind of going back to an earlier question, like obviously practicing it at home, right? In your boxers is fucking one thing, right? But like, it's another thing hitting it like in an actual game or in tournament.
Yeah.
Like how did you, how was that process for you? Just kind of,
That
was it, did it take a while for you to just kind of, or was it, pretty easy?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that's pretty mechanical, so it's
Mm-hmm.
not like the hardest thing ever. But I mean, that was just grind time. I met
Yeah.
the PGN guys, and we just played at Rick's house like every day for
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know 4 or 5 days a week for like 3 years or something, and
Mm-hmm.
doing that combo for 8 hours a day for a year, like you get it down eventually.
So, you know, the next thing I want to talk about is like, what's your, obviously it might vary from character to character or matchup or even player to player, but what's sort of your philosophy or mindset in terms of getting that one hit?
Uh, I guess like Oro doesn't have a lot of. I mean, his buttons are fine, but like they have a lot of recovery, so they're really easy to whiff punish. So it's just kind of I want to find the spot that I can stand in where they work. So I've actually been Jordan has been playing a lot of Necro recently, and I've kind of found the spot. And you can just stand in the spot, and it like stand medium kick beats most things. So I just want to like find my spot and stand there and hold that space until they get frustrated,
Hmm.
and then like that's when you can start hitting with that. Like they whiff some, yeah, like I don't know, they want to hit you with like a fierce button or something with a sweep, and you can dash in and get that. Um, and if you can't convince people to do that, it's actually really hard. I don't really think Oro is like I know like the Kuroda tier list or whatever, and I'm sure if you're Kuroda, he's like it's like fine, whatever, man. But like if people don't want to let you play that game, it's really hard because the only way I can get that damage is I need to get a knockdown so you can take some stupid mix up, or like if you're in my face, I can guess parry into it.
Hmm.
If you just stay at like Shoto sweep distance, you just like doing stand roundhouse, low roundhouse, like what am I gonna do? Can't do anything.
Oh no, Oro is ridiculously bad at you know the spacing game.
Yeah,
It's it's yeah, like offline. Okay, because we all know there's a big difference between offline Oro and online Oro.
yeah,
But offline, at least, it's his moves are just so slow.
yeah,
He
yeah.
has
It's
no
really hard.
moves that are fast. Like I can't
I
think of a
mean,
fast move he has.
he does.
Like what?
Stand short is 2 frames, two
Okay,
frame startup.
but
But
but, but
you
I'll
don't
eat
get
that.
anything off of
I'll
that.
eat
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Who cares?
Like
And it's two
you can't do
damage.
anything off that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's there's just yeah, like you said, if you can keep him away,
yeah.
you
So
know,
at that point, like against somebody who's competent and knows how to play the matchup like that, and I can't get that hit, like it's really just like you just have to pick your spot and just try to like play that spacing game
yeah.
until they get frustrated and you can do it, and that's really that gets really hard.
Or you could just kind of like be like the Alamo, right? Just
Yeah, but I don't know.
like kind of give that attitude, like, okay,
Yeah.
you're probably gonna win this match, but I'm gonna make you work really fucking
Oh
hard,
yeah.
and because I was just wondering, like, how important is patience, sort of, when it comes to
Oh
using
my.
Oro? Because it must be like you're just waiting, right? So you have to
Yeah,
like get to
yeah.
the point where you're just like, okay, I'm okay with waiting this way. Like
I
I'm notoriously bad at waiting. Like I don't like waiting in lines. I don't like waiting on a train or stuff like that. I just hate waiting. I just can't imagine waiting because it's just
yeah.
really lots of waiting.
That's weird that you say that because actually I really hate waiting in lines. It's actually the worst. But I played a Chun online one time, and
Uh-huh.
that match was god awful. I hit the guy one time, and I didn't I don't know, I random online guy. I don't know if he has
Uh-huh.
any offense. So I hit him once. I just backdashed to the corner, and I just did that for 96 seconds, and I won by timeout with one hit.
Yeah.
So like I mean that's what you got to do with that guy. It's not really fun. Like I always tell people, like Oro is a character where like nobody's allowed to have fun. Because if you're playing the matchup, I don't get to do my cool combo, but you
Uh-huh.
also don't get to come on me because then I might guess right and then you just die.
Uh-huh.
So it's just like nobody gets to have fun. It's just who can be the most patient, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's there's something about, and I guess that's why, like, whenever I play online Oros, like I feel like online is a perfect setting for Oro because you're more likely to get impatient playing online.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's like every little thing triggers me when I play Oro, dude. Like, oh fuck, why would he press that button? Or oh my god, how did it lag there? Or whoa,
Yeah,
that was a frame skip. Oh, roll back, and then all of a sudden I find myself pressing buttons, and then I get something parried, and I'm dead,
yeah.
right?
Oh cool, a rollback in the middle of my combo. That's my only combo.
But yeah, like, yeah, you must have the patience of Job to use Oro, dude.
It's a lot of down back.
But that's funny because you're like, do you have fun using Oro?
I have fun when I do the cool combo and win the game.
maybe
Everything
that's
else
your
is
maybe
not
that's your
not
quirk,
fun.
right? Monoxide is the Oro player that hates playing Oro.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a bad time.
Yeah. Who are some of the before we take our first break? Who were some of the players when you were coming up that really sort of helped you get to the level that you are? I mean, obviously you already mentioned the PGN guys.
Yeah, I mean that's mostly who I played. It was
Yeah.
just like Rick and John and Steve. Um, who else did I play? I mean, it was them, but I think like going up to when we first started going up to tournaments, it helped a lot. We had like Yumacon, and I've gone out to Combo Breaker a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and just like I guess I can't think of another specific person because those are like that group is really like the group that I played a lot and like learned the game with was just like those 3 or 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
But getting out to tournaments and playing like outside of that group, just seeing different styles and getting the matchup experience with other characters and stuff, that helped a lot.
Cool, cool, cool. So what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna go ahead and take our first break. But when we come back, we're gonna talk more with Monoxide, and I kind of want to talk a little bit more about this sort of recent, or at least the way I've observed it, sort of recent sort of surge of activity, third strike activity in the US, and kind of curious to hear what Monoxide thinks about that whole trend. But in the meantime, guys, we're gonna take a short 2-minute break, and then we'll be back with more Mutant XPerience podcasts. Don't go anywhere, guys. How's it going, guys? Mutant XP here with you again for another edition of the Mutant XPerience podcast. Tonight on the show, I have with me Cincinnati's favorite Oro player, Vince, aka Monoxide. By the way, guys, if you look on the bottom right hand corner of your screen, please follow Monoxide's Twitter at 1XIDE. Definitely check him out and give him a follow. So, Vince, as I mentioned earlier on the show, it seems like the Midwest has really been sort of upping their 3S activity.
Yeah,
Have you noticed that? Is that something that you've noticed, or like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
weird that
definitely.
you? I don't know, like whether you've been able to notice or not since you're like in that area, right? But is that something that you sort of have noticed the last like 3 or 4 years that hey, the Midwest is becoming more and more sort of active in Third Strike?
Yeah, definitely. There's been a lot. Gosh, what was that like? I don't know. It seemed like for a while, like it was just us, like in Saginaw, like
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 of us playing Third Strike. But they've been streaming for a while, and people started to pick up on the stream, and then now there's like UMaCon we have Third Strike at every year. Jay's been doing Michigan Masters, and that's got Third Strike. I've been yelling at Rick, like Hotto Rick from Combo Breaker, for the last 3 years to make Third Strike a main game, and he finally did it this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that. I know there's like KCMO locals, I want to say. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on. We have like tournaments here all the time. I mean, like local stuff,
Mm-hmm.
8 or 16 people or whatever. But
Yeah, and then we have like Chicago.
yeah,
They're particularly Logan's Arcade. They do
I
ST
forgot
and Third
about them
Strike.
because I already said Combo Breaker. But yeah, those dudes for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So
They've got a Candy Cab arcade there now too.
yep, yep. So what do you think is like why do you think this is like this kind of happened? Like why do you think there's been so much activity like in the Midwest when it comes to Third Strike?
I mean, I guess I think there was just like a group of people who wanted to play, and
Mm-hmm.
we just did that a lot. And like that's what happens. It doesn't matter if your game is old and dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you like it, just play with people, and eventually get a lot of people to play that will start doing stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I mean, the like I said, like the PGN guys, like we played all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like really, we just so there like I mentioned UbiCon. That's like this anime con in Detroit, and they always have a bunch of candy caps and stuff. And we went there to play, and they had tournaments, and we were like, hey, like, can we run a Third Strike tournament? So we just did it
Mm-hmm.
at the event. And then like I think it's kind of the same thing with Chicago. I know like they got Logan Arcade, and they just like started playing, and you get all these scenes that are relatively close together. We can go to each other events, and like I don't know, it just builds from there.
And,
You just have
and
to care.
and you host your own event, right? Uh,
Not me personally, but
or
in
or, or, or,
Cincinnati
or,
we have
or,
stuff.
or in
Yeah,
Cincinnati, there's a you
yeah,
were talking about like a regular event that happens called Alpha Attack, right?
yeah. That's I don't know the like exact schedule for that, but it's
Mm-hmm.
basically quarterly. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's like every 3 months, and that's just a bunch of old. It'll be like Super Turbo, Vampire. It's like 8 or 10 games, just whatever people around here want to play.
Cool.
But Jesse, who owns the arcade, likes Third Strike, so we always get to play Third Strike.
That always helps, right? When your arcade
Yeah,
owner likes the game.
yeah.
Who does he use?
He plays Necro actually.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. I like it. I like it. I like it. Actually, no, I don't like it. Tell him to switch.
Oh, okay.
That character is bad news.
Yeah.
um. So I forgot. Well. Oh yeah, that's right. So Combo Breaker. Huge turnout for Third Strike this year.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are
110
living under a
something.
rock, I think Third Strike got like 100 entrants,
It was over 100.
over 100 at Combo
Yeah.
Breaker. And how many of those 100 do you think participated? What do you think was the percentage? Well, first of all,
Most.
did you run Third Strike at Combo Breaker? No, right? You didn't
No,
run it.
I didn't run the bracket for
Uh-huh.
that. No.
Uh-huh.
Um. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really notice anybody like missing from their
Yeah.
pools though.
Hmm.
I mean, there was like 1 or 2 people, but
Yeah.
I think mostly everybody showed up.
And that's insane. A
Uh,
100.
and there was Frosty in July, Elven Shadows like Guilty Gear tournament, anime tournament thing.
Uh-huh.
We had um, Third Strike at that too, and like the Chicago guys ran that, and we had 56 at that, I think.
What? So what's going on here? Like I can barely get like 10 people to come to like a local in New York City. Like what do you think is why is it that it seems like the Midwest has this sort of ankling, hankering for Third Strike, like what is
Uh, I
like
don't
I
know.
just I don't get it. I really don't get it, dude. Like I need you to help me understand. Like how in the hell did
I,
you get 100 people for combo
I
breaker?
I think a
Just
lot of people came to Combo Breaker just because it has a really good reputation. Like, I mean, it's a major tournament now. It's kind of like there's like what like Evo, Combo Breaker, and CEO are like the three that a lot of people are into. And so like there's that. If you know anything about like Chicago or Combo Breaker or like the Midwestern Third Strike people, like you know we're going to be running it on hardware, so we're going to have super guns and play the real game, even if we do accidentally load 608 first round and have to yell at everybody. Um, but so there's that, and just like, I mean, really, there's a lot of people in the Midwest who play at Combo Breaker or Frosty. Like you've got everybody from Michigan goes, everybody from Ohio, all the Nebraska guys come out to everything because they travel like crazy. And Combo Breaker is just a big enough tournament now that like, I mean, like Justin
well,
and Chris G, like they're there, so they enter. So people enter to play those guys, and that helps.
yeah. I mean, I get it, right? Like, I'm I like to pride myself in knowing a lot of American Dirt Strike players. So like, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like the people that I know from the Midwest who play Dirt Strike, right? And like you said, right, like they all come to like Combo Breaker or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that still doesn't equal 100. Doesn't even equal 50. Like, who
I
are
mean,
these? How are you getting these? Like, to me, right? To me, the more, the more, to me, the more impressive feat was Combo Breaker 2017,
mm-hmm.
because Third Strike was a side tournament apparently,
Yeah,
and you
yep.
guys were able to get over 50 people for that.
Yeah, I think that was 52.
52. Oof. And like, and so you got 52 people, who just entered Third Strike, and it's like, I just where are these people coming from? And then Combo Breaker this year, right? No, there
Mm-hmm.
was no pot bonus, right?
I put $100 pot
Oh,
bonus
you
in.
put a pot bonus in? Okay, sorry. Okay, so so there's $100 pot bonus. I'm sure Justin Wong appreciates
Oh
that.
yeah,
Oh,
you're
so
welcome.
but that's $100, right? Like
Yeah,
it's a lot, right? It's a lot,
it's not
particularly
five
for
thousand
Third
dollars.
Strike, but it's not like Capcom's $7,000. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like just looking at it sort of objectively, and maybe this is just coming from my perspective, and maybe that's what's wrong with it. But like, if I were to look at Combo Breaker, and you had over 100 players enter Combo Breaker, right? And so, you know, unless you guys have been living under a rock, you know that the next super big Third Strike tournament is Canada Cup,
Mm-hmm.
because Capcom's going to be hosting a Third Strike tournament run on 30th anniversary, and there's going to be a $7,000 pot bonus, 7 grand. Okay, and so looking at it sort of objectively, looking at these two tournaments, right? You would assume, right, that Canada Cup is gonna for sure have over 100 entrants
Mm-hmm.
in Third Strike. But when you think about it, right, like, but what if it doesn't? What does that say? Like I just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm getting my point across here, but like, all these gimmicks, all this backing, all this sponsorship, and if they can't even come up with the same number of entrants for that Combo Breaker did, like, what's going on? What's either you guys in the Midwest are doing something really right, or everywhere else is doing something really wrong.
I
Like,
mean, I really
I don't
think
want I don't
Combo
want to put you on the
Breaker.
spot, right? I don't think you know all the answers or anything. It's just
Yeah,
it's just
yeah, yeah.
something I've been
No,
thinking
I
about.
understand. I really think Combo Breaker is just a good tournament for it. Like honestly, like if you wanted to go play Third Strike at a tournament, right? You've got, I mean, whatever. You could go to any tournament. You've got a few you could go to that you know are going to get a good amount of entries. You get TFC, Combo Breaker,
That's a
maybe
perfect example.
CM.
TFC didn't even have 100 people.
But like, so what I was gonna say, like, I think it's a good tournament for that because like Hado Rick runs it, and like that guy really, really respects like old games.
Hmm.
The tournament this year that got the most entries. The reason Vampire was main stage was because Vampire got the most entries. But like that was the thing, and these are all like official tournaments. Like they get main stage time, they get mainstream time. It's not like I actually don't know what TFC is like. I'm not trying to say TFC is like worse or anything. I don't know. But it's not like whatever CEO or like Evo is just some side tournament in like a hall somewhere. It's like if you go to Combo Breaker, you know it's going to be a real ass tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly just think it's like a lot of that is just Combo Breaker. Like Combo Breaker does a lot for us. I really appreciate that tournament.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of like, because out of those 100 people, right? Like out of those 100 plus people that entered, there had to have been like a lot of people who don't normally play Third Strike competitively enter that
Oh
tournament.
yeah, probably.
Right? And so my question is like, what are you guys? I mean, like, how did Combo Breaker sort of attract those casual gamers to enter Third Strike? And you're saying that it's basically just off the reputation of Combo Breaker, right? Like,
I mean, I think that's a lot of it. Yeah.
Because it's just mind-boggling to me. You guys got 100 players.
Yeah, we could get more if everybody came out. Come out
Exactly.
from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Exactly. It's just, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe the Midwest. I can hear the little necro tongue wag in the background.
got some P mode going on.
Yeah, I like it. But tell him to switch characters though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mutant says his character's bad. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Unless you have 30 years to get good with the character. Anyway.
Just be Sugiyama, no big deal.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, I mean, like, it's just, maybe you're right, dude. Maybe there's just, like, a lot of people in the Midwest who play Third Strike casually. That's just kind of untapped, sort of.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know, a confluence of random factors. We've got, like, people streaming who have been pretty popular, too, with, like, the PGN guys have been streaming forever, and they get, like, a pretty good following, and people come out to stuff to see them. Venka's been streaming, and I think he lives in Michigan.
Yeah.
So that's been doing a lot because he gets 30 people a night watching Third Strike.
Yeah. That's true.
So they're just there's name recognition. We happen to get a big tournament. Our big tournament happens to be really well known for good support for old games, and it just I don't know. I don't think there's anything special we did. I think we just kind of got lucky, and a bunch of factors came together, and we get to have this sick tournament for Third Strike in the West.
Well, we may not have the answers now on the show, but and again, you're right, Vince. We're not trying to put down any other events, any other Third Strike events.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
all Third Strike events are beautiful.
But at the same time, what you guys were able to pull off at Combo Breaker is pretty fucking special.
Yeah, man.
Dude, 100 plus players.
I want everybody to come out next year, though.
Yeah.
Make Combo Breaker the tournament, so I don't have to drive 13 hours to the East Coast.
Yeah, kind of like what PGN again, Steve or Rick, I don't know who's manning the Twitch right now, but he says in the Twitch, right, every tournament there are a bunch of people that say they love Third Strike, but they don't want to play it, so there must be something that got those people to sign up. I mean, I guess I'll address the elephant in the room. Maybe you guys are just nicer people, dude. Maybe East Coast and West Coast, we're just assholes, dude. That's why we don't want to enter our tournaments.
We've got the Midwest friendliness, yeah, man.
Dude, I always feel welcome when I go to the Midwest. I have family that live in Michigan. I have family that live in Indiana. It's one of those places, where you always feel really welcome. I don't know. Maybe that's it, dude. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But 100 players.
Yeah.
Whew.
It was good time.
Just that's pretty impressive. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you about before our second break, tell me a little bit about Team Yace. Or Yas, or how do you pronounce it? Yace?
It's supposed to be Yace.
Yace, yeah. Right? So I don't really know anything about Team Yace. Could you tell me a little bit about Team Yace? Because you're a member of Team Yace, right? Sort of.
Yeah. So that's that kind of started as a joke, actually.
Okay.
Actually, the person who first made me start playing Third Strike with him, Jarvis, on GGPO in 2007. We were kind of me and him and our friend Jay, who also runs events. He runs Michigan Masters, which you should also go to next year. We were just kind of making fun of these dumb esports teams, and so it's 100% a joke, esports fighting team. The Yay stands for y'all ain't shit anyways with an E, because it's supposed to be stupid.
Mhm.
and like it just kind of accidentally turned into a thing. Like people be like, "Oh, like what's up? What's up with that Yates team, guys?" And then hey, we were like, "What if we sold merchandise? Like somebody would probably buy some shirts, right?" So we printed up a bunch of shirts for Combo Breaker last year and like sold all of those.
Damn.
There's like stickers and like so it's one of those things that it started out as a joke and then it like it's like when you say something like I can't think of an example, but you say something in a dumb way because it's funny,
Uh-huh.
and then like oops, now you just actually say it like that. It's pretty much that.
Which is pretty much like 75% of the FGC
Yeah.
language, right? That's how we come
Yeah.
up with the lingo in the FGC. So who's all in Team Yace? Is this like, are there just a select few? Is this like are you guys like, are you guys like the Masons or something? Or is this like,
Yes. Yeah, we actually
is this NWO circa 1997,
we
right?
actually are.
When everyone was in Team NWO, like what's going on here? How exclusive is
Uh,
this group here?
I mean, I think there's like 10 people right now who are like officially in it,
Uh,
but like I said, it's not. I don't know, man.
no, I think I saw you on stream at Chicago Breaker, at Combo Breaker.
You probably did. I
And you
played a couple
weren't you
games with
wearing
you.
like the sunglasses, or was that someone else?
No, that was somebody else.
Someone was wearing these Yace sunglasses.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was you or.
It could have been. I mean, though that's like a merchandise item that people who have bought, so it could have been anybody. I
Oh
don't really
really?
know.
Where do you get that stuff? Like is there
So
like a website
yeah, let me
or
send you a link. It's actually Yace.world.
Yace.world?
Yeah. I'll post the link in chat here.
Yeah, let's hope
I
you
think
can.
this is you. Yeah. So if you go there and you click on the boutique link, it'll take you to like a merchandise page where you can buy some junk.
Oh, let's take a look at this. Fuck! I closed my chat.
I mean, it'll be there waiting for you.
Let's take a look at this here a little bit. All right, so this Yace boutique. This is hilarious.
There's
I feel like I went into the
link.
Uniqlo website, dude. Why I just pressed boutique here?
Yeah, and then
Was
if
that you in
scroll
the
down,
middle?
that is unfortunately me with a really bad hairdo.
I love this picture, dude.
Um,
You guys look like
I
such a
kind of
rock
don't,
band.
but you know, here we are. That
Yeah.
happened.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. So you got Yay stickers.
Yeah.
You got the patch. the
There's going to be
shirt.
a charity sticker for Michigan for water for the Flint, Michigan thing soon.
Oh, $30. So Katy Perry, that's a name that I've always seen, and like he's always like said hi to me on the chat, but I don't
Yeah, yeah.
I've never really sort of attached the name to a face, you know. So I guess Katy Perry's the guy on the right here.
I mean, that's him on that shirt. Yeah.
Okay. You guys are like Genesis, dude. You know that band Genesis? That's crazy. Like I don't know if you guys know who the band Genesis is, but it's
I mean,
crazy.
I know.
It's crazy that one band had both Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins in it. Isn't that crazy? Think about that. Anyway, listen to 8. Dude, this is pretty sick, dude. This is really sick. So yeah, guys, go to Yace.world and pick up your official Yace merchandise here. Let me just go ahead and reopen the Twitch chat here. But you know, is there like a Yace fan club? Like, if I can't be in Yace, is there like a fan club? Like a?
I mean, there's a on that main landing page. There's a Discord link and Twitter and maybe Twitch or something. But I mean, I don't know. You can join the Discord and yell about stuff.
Like, you know how like back in the day, if you were like into like a band or like into like a musical group, you could be in their fan club and they'd give you like a membership card or something.
Yeah.
That would be really cool if you give out like Yace membership cards.
Oh, I do have. I don't know if I can show this to you, but
Oh,
I
here, let's see.
have like business cards.
Oh, a business
They're
card.
like these. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Some stuff.
Awesome.
And those out at events because it's super serious.
So yeah, guys, you know, definitely during this next break, check out Yace.world and go ahead and grab your official Yace merchandise here. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take our second and final break. But when we come back, I wanna ask Monoxide his thoughts on obviously 30th anniversary, which has been consuming our life, our lives the last 2 months. And you know what sort of what he sees the future for Third Strike in the Midwest is going to be like. And so once again, guys, you're watching the Mutant XPerience podcast with Monoxide, and we'll be back in a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere. How's it going, guys? Mutant XP back on the mic. You are watching the Mutant XPerience podcast number 25. Special guest, Cincinnati's own Monoxide. So, Vince, 30th anniversary, man. What do you think about it? Give us the truth, man. What are your honest feelings?
It's okay. I don't know. It feels all right to me. It's not hardware, but you know.
Yeah.
The worst thing about it is like the UI is just like a shit show. But as far as like once you actually get to play the game, like it's alright. I don't mind playing on it.
Mm-hmm. So you know, you're someone who discovered, who really discovered Third Strike online. You know, like how like do you like do you have the game on PC or PS4?
Yeah, I got it on PC.
Okay. And so, how would you compare sort of the net play in 30th with, previous online iterations of Third Strike?
I mean, when it works, it's fine, and when it's not, I mean, they're all bad when they don't work right. It's just this one, like on 3SO, you get like tons of crazy rollbacks and people would teleport around and stuff. And on this one, it just like you just get slideshow a lot more than on 3SO. But like I don't know, when it works, it's fine. It feels a little bit off to me, but it's not like
off in what way? Like speed?
I don't know. I've heard some people say that they think the audio is not quite synced correctly,
Uh-huh.
and so I don't know if that's it. Some guy on 3SJ on the Facebook group just posted. I don't know if you saw that. He posted a big chart. He did a bunch of lag testing and stuff, and it's comparable to other. Like they're all a little different, but it's comparable to other ports. So I don't know if it's just that or like my monitor isn't like the best. I can put it on my old Asus and it feels a lot better than on my primary.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I don't know. I guess like I feel about all these ports and stuff like you should just play Third Strike. It really doesn't matter what you play it on. If you're like Deshiken or something, then fine, whatever. You're not going to get anything out of Online Edition. But like for everybody else in America who's just like learning the game, if you've never played it before, it doesn't matter. Like buy the one that's easy for you to play. If 30th happens to be that one, like that's cool, and you'll be practicing on the version that's at Canada Cup, which maybe is something you care about. So that's a thing.
Well,
Uh,
this is kind of related back to our discussion about how you got 100+ people at Combo
mhm.
Breaker. Like when did this become a thing? Like where like I feel like the 3S scene. It's like, and I'm certainly guilty of doing this too. I did it in this episode when I talked about online oros. But
Yeah,
like, when did this happen? Like when it was like there was this divide, right, between like Third Strike, offline Third Strike players and online Third Strike players. I don't know, like when did like how do you think this happened, or like how do you think this developed? This sort of sort of because it feels like there's this sort of there's certain level of sort of hostility
oh
towards
yeah,
the online Third Strike player. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, and it's just it permeates throughout the whole scene. Like, where do you think that came from? Or
I don't really know why it's such a thing with like Third Strike. More, I don't know why it's more of a thing for Third Strike players than it is everybody else. But I mean, part of it is definitely that there's never really been like, I mean, there's been fine ports, I guess, but Third Strike runs on this like weird old hardware. Like you can emulate CPS2 pretty well. Um, I know, like, I mean, I have a lot of Vampire players here who are like really good, and they don't like the ports of that game either. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, it's just like, but you're right though, right? Like this dynamic doesn't necessarily occur in every other game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh, I mean, I feel the same way. Like, I mean, I used to be an online player before, even in Saginaw, before we got into hardware. Like, we were playing at Umicon. We would just sit in like Rick's basement and we played 360 rank matches online all day.
Hmm.
So but like when I heard CEO switch, they were originally going to play it on hardware and they switched to 30th,
Uh-huh.
probably because of the Perimeter Legends thing, even though it's not the thing, but whatever. And when I saw that, I was like, man, fuck that. I'm glad I didn't sign up for that tournament. But that seems like not really. I felt that, but then I'm like, is that really a good mindset? Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like a major should be on hardware, and I get why they're not doing it on hardware, but I don't know. Yeah, just once you get used to it, and then you play online, you have to deal with like that lag and stuff. It's like, no, it's not the same game. But again, I don't know why like Third Strike players are so much more mad about it than everybody else.
Yeah,
Being
it
one of
does
them
sort of feel
myself,
that way, right? Like they were a lot more sensitive about that, right?
yeah, like I'm also really mad about it, and I don't know.
Like even a new player like Vankabot, right? Even he gets mad.
Yeah,
Like it's like
yeah.
it's weird. Like
Well, the thing with Venka was he thought it was fine. Like we would play him online, and I'd be like, man, like this fucking rollback, fucking Mexi with the whatever his internet
dude,
was with the Dudley
Mexi,
jump ins. He's like, yeah, I got you with the
oh my
combo, and I'm like,
god,
dude, you teleported into me. But
Mexi.
whatever. So Venka's like fine with all that, and then he came out to some real life events.
Uh-huh.
And then like the next day he was on stream after his first like real tournament and he's like, man, fuck this online, like this rollback. He was really mad about it. It was super funny.
Uh-huh. Yo, shout outs to Mexi, but Mexi, your internet is so bad.
It's
It
better
is.
now. It
It
used to be
is.
really bad.
It is. It was really bad. But anyway, But Mexi is the my nickname for Mexi is he's the king of online third strike. Like you know how in pro wrestling there used to be kings, right? Like
Yeah.
he's the king of online
See,
third
like
strike.
we started talking about lag and third strike, and I just got really mad about it and started yelling. Man, I don't know, sucks.
Well,
Lag
I
is
mean,
bad.
you know, everyone complains about lag in other games, right?
Yeah.
But like, it's I don't know, man. Like we're just so like it's just a thing now, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, and I guess you know I kind of brought it up because you know again going back to Combo Breaker and like there's all these players, 100 people. You know where were they playing? Like where were they playing Third Strike? You know how many of those 100 players do you think were online players?
Uh, I
You
would
know?
say a good majority of them, probably.
But they still entered. So it's like, you know, I don't know. Like, I feel like, and maybe like it's not just you know, I feel like it's from both directions. You know, the picking and the prodding.
Hmm.
You know, I feel like it's both online offline players to online players. I honestly think it kind of started that way, right? It was
Yeah.
offline picking on online, and then online kind of was like fighting back, right? You know, kind of going back and forth until it just created this sort of North Korea, South Korea type deal. But you know, it's like,
We need the demilitarized zone, man.
but it seems like the Midwest is the demilitarized zone because
We are
you
we
guys
are
got
in the middle.
100 fucking players at Combo Breaker, dude, and like, imagine how much you can get next year. You know, so
Yeah.
I don't know, like I don't know, like it's so difficult to like change an entire generation's thinking. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, I do want to say like I mean I said a little bit I guess before, but like if you're like I don't know I assume most people watching your podcast are like third strike players, but if
Yeah.
anybody ever watches this and you want to play third strike, the version you buy doesn't matter. Like for real, buy the one that's easiest for you to play and just play the game a lot. We talked about Venka. That dude went from like literally nothing to like he got fourth place in a 32-man tournament,
Hmm.
and I think he got. I mean, he did well at our local in Cincinnati too,
Hmm.
and he's only been playing for a year, and he only played online. So like, if that's what you got, like do it up.
Hmm.
You
Because
can get to a level with that.
because really, when it all boils down to it all boils down to building the scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way you build the scene is you get people to come to physical events, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I feel like, you know, maybe, you know, we need to sort of change our sort of strategy as sort of third strike community organizers, right? Like that's a thing, right? I just made that thing up right now, right? You know, where we're just like, yeah, like you said, Vince, right? Play on whatever you want, you know, and then, you know, but hey, man, if you want to come out
Yeah.
and let them sort of discover for themselves. You know what I mean? Like let them kind of like what you were saying with Venka, right? How like he
Yeah.
was kind of like he wasn't used to anything offline, you know? Like as far as you and I are concerned, he had never played Third Strike really until he
Pretty
came
much.
offline. And he did, and then he had that reaction. Now is everyone else going to have that reaction? No.
Right, probably not.
But
They should
then
though.
but then I guess maybe we don't have to sort of shit on them so hard, you know? Like just kind of be like you said, right? Play on whatever version. That's cool. That's cute. And then but hey, come out, you know, and then see for yourself, I guess. I also think like a big part of it too, like you kind of alluded to this earlier, Vince, is like, you know, like why are you playing, right? You know what I mean?
Like,
Like
yeah,
why are you playing, you know, like online? Like you know, some people play online just to, you know, just as casually, right? Some people like to, you know, like there's different reasons for why people play online. You know what I
mhm.
mean? And I think that's a big part of it too. You know,
Yeah. I,
it's
I just want people to play the game like however
yeah,
they can,
right.
because the more of them that play, even if only 10% of them come out to events, like the more people who are playing, the more people we can get at events.
But the thing
And
is,
if
like, you know, like my older generation, right? Like, we just can't stand getting beat, dude. It's the pride thing, dude. It's the pride. Like,
yeah,
oh fuck, how'd I get beat by this scrubby ass Denjin shit? freaking
See, that's
dentures.
why
You
that's why
know?
Oro's a good character too. You lose the game or you win the game, you just go take a nap, man. I'm old.
Yeah. So I guess I guess as far as older players like myself, I guess we have to do a better job of holding that salt, I guess, for the better of the scene, I guess, if that's something you care about, you know.
I mean,
That's
I don't
another
know.
thing too, right? Like not all Third Strike players care about growing the scene,
Mhm.
you know, and and and
But
and and,
what if
and,
they
and that's
don't? Then who are
fine.
they going to have to play with? Not
Well,
going to have
again,
anybody.
but you're saying that because you're someone who does care. You know what I mean? Like you
What?
can't you can't like
Yeah.
if that's not their sort of that's not the sort of moral framework from which they're like, you know, perceiving things. You know what I mean? Like you say that because you actually do care about growing the scene. You
Mhm.
do see the value of community and all that. But there are some players who just who are playing Third Strike because for themselves, right? Like they want to be the best player that they can be, you know, and they're only focused about themselves.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily, I mean, you know, that's not necessarily a good or bad thing. That's just their thing. You know what I mean? And it's just the
Yeah. I
way
mean,
it is, right?
not everybody can be a leader or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but thankfully you're a leader, Vince. You're holding it down. Um, you know what? Have you sort of gone to that sort of weird phase in your Third Strike career where you're like serving as like a mentor for other players? Like, are there other players that you
Kinda.
teach yet, or like, or do you kind of take under your
I
wing?
mean, I most of the people I play with are competent enough that it's not. But no, you know what? Once 30th came out, there was a new guy who's been showing up to
Mm-hmm.
the arcade to play Third Strike. It was kind of funny when I walked in because it was like the day one that like 30th came out,
Uh-huh.
and there were a bunch of people standing around a PS4 playing like 30th, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, y'all, like, no, we got like the cab over there. We're at the arcade,
Mm-hmm.
so like we went. Like, uh, but 30th got him playing, and like now
Uh-huh.
they've been showing up, and we've been playing on the cab pretty regularly. We've been
But
like
30th
showing
is
them
so
some
much more
stuff.
convenient, right? I don't got to switch out
Yeah,
boards,
yeah,
and I don't got to. You know, I'm just kidding. I'm
but
just.
they were. You're not wrong, but they were at the arcade, man.
Yeah, I know, I know.
I mean, we've got a local guy, Billy, who's been playing with Kodo, and he's actually gotten really. He's kind of like he's at the point where he just feels bad, and he says that he's bad all the time, but he's not really bad. He's like starting to do some real Makoto stuff. So we've been like teaching him. I don't know, we're like kind of like the amount of people we have playing here isn't like huge, but like at our like I said at our last local we got like a 16-man bracket. That's counting Vancouver, but you know, 16-man bracket for a local is pretty okay. So we've been like slowly building the scene, and we've once with 30th we've gotten some new players for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So, what do you see sort of the future of Third Strike in the Midwest, man? Like, what do you think? What do you think? You know, what do you think is sort of the next step for you guys, kind of as a scene?
Uh, I mean, I think the only thing for us right now is really just like making our events bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like 30th is out, so we got a bunch of new people playing.
Mm-hmm.
We've got like a scene exists. We've got Combo Breaker is like our big like tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think like keeping those things going and just building on what we have really like. There's no like big leap we need to make. Like we've got the basics of what we need.
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple of arcades, so.
You know how easy or how difficult was it to sort of convince, you know, the organizers of Combo Breaker to make Third Strike a main game this year? Like, was
Oh,
it like, oh yeah, man, you guys got 50 last year and it wasn't even an official tournament? Yeah, we'll make it an official tournament. Or was there
uh,
like a little persuading that had to?
I
Give me the
don't. I don't
inside
really
story on
know.
that if you know.
I mean, I don't like live there.
uh,
I know Rick a little bit, but I don't
uh,
like know him like that.
uh,
But I would definitely see him every year. And Vampire, Vampire was an official tournament,
mm-hmm,
and it would get like, I think one year it got like 60, and then the next year it got like 80 some or
mm-hmm,
whatever. And it's always been an official tournament, and it should be like I'm down with that.
mm-hmm,
Uh, but Rick always had like 4 or 5 like classic games that were official like tournaments, and so every year I would see Rick, and I'm like, hey Rick, you gonna make Third Strike? Like, is it gonna be a real tournament next year or what?
Mhm.
I'd be like, oh, like I don't know, we got the list, like we're thinking about it. And I would just like bring it up to him every year, and I told him that last year when we had that. It was like, Rick, like we had 52 people in the side tournament last year. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And like I said, like I don't like know him like that, so like I didn't really hear the details, but I think just like getting the numbers like helped. And now here we are. It's an official tournament, and that doubled the entrance. So
Yeah, man, and hopefully it's an official tournament for years to come.
yeah, I hope so.
So how about you, just kind of individually as a player, man? Like what's in terms of Third Strike? I mean, are there like goals or benchmarks you want to reach, things you want to do?
I want to. That's kind of putting me on the spot. I can't think of it right now. There's definitely some like little things that I've noticed that I don't do, or that I do, that I've been trying to like. I need to buy like a recording setup for the Super Gun, because we play on hardware. I don't really have a way to record it, just to review things. But like, I guess one of the things I was thinking about today is, or that I started doing recently. There was that guy Tengu Stoner who always played on Tenko's stream. He would do a lot of like empty jump, low short uppercut, and I never really did it because I'm like, that sucks. Like if they block it, you just die. It's stupid. I never did it. But I watched him playing it, and I was like, he hits people with that a lot. And so I've just been trying to make sure that I'm not overlooking stuff like that, because when you play a not so good character, sometimes you have to like go for something stupid to make them get hit, and then they got to think about it, and then you can like kind of open them up that way. I've just been trying to like expand, I guess, on that kind of just like a different way of thinking about the game, I guess. Not always going for
the sure thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really one of those great quandaries, especially in a game like Third Strike, when you think about the parry mechanic. Like when do you take risks? Like when do you stick your neck out? And it's almost always situational, right? And it's always involves a lot of it always involves a lot of the technical stuff that we don't really kind of pay attention to, spacing, looking at the opponent's meter, like for example, stuff like that. And then a lot of it comes down to just kind of reading the player,
Yeah.
kind of recognizing that, hey, this guy might get hit by this because he tends to do something like that. So
so it's kind of like broad and not very specific, I guess, but that's the area I've been working on. And as far as like stuff to do, like I just want to go to co-op mostly. Like
co-op. Have you been to Japan before? Or?
No.
Oh man, you gotta go to co-op, dude. So, it's funny. I don't. The last few times I went to co-op, the last time I went to co-op cup, I didn't really see many Oro players. I know I got beat by an Oro player.
Yeah.
But I didn't really see a whole lot of Oro players. There's
only like 12 or so, I think, that I could actually think of. They all play Tengu.
Yeah.
Except Vano. Vano plays Yagi.
Oh, dude, I remember Vano. He came out to Brooklyn years ago, right? Was working everybody with that Oro.
Oro and Denshin Ryu.
Yeah, they're almost like the same character, like in terms of the way Vanal plays him, right? Well, speaking of getting better and stuff, you've sort of come to the point of the podcast, and again, I don't know if you've watched any of my other podcasts, Vince, but there's a segment that we do every Mutant XPerience podcast called "Pack It Up." And
it's a good segment.
Essentially, I have to admit that my motivation for creating Pack It Up was sort of more selfish than anything, but just to kind of amuse myself. But over the past year or so that I've been doing Pack It Up, I've realized since we're talking about building a community and making each other better, I really think it's sort of up to us, to kind of let players know when they're not doing things that are, that are kosher, right?
I feel like I see where we're going with this.
Yeah, so, this week, we're gonna go ahead and, I don't know about the theme of this week. Lately I've been having sort of themed pack-it-ups, and this week's a little bit more random collection. Kind of, an ode to some of the older pack-it-ups. So, I guess without further ado, guys, this is this week's pack-it-up. So, you ready, Vince?
I don't know. I think
You
so.
don't know? Okay. Well, here it goes. All right. Back it up. All right. I already forgot what's on this video. All right. Nominee number 1. Oh, okay. Here's a DSP, sort of counting his chickens before they hatch here. He's so convinced that he has this combo down, and he just completely whiffs it. You can hear him in the stream, too. It's pretty funny. Nominee number 2. This Ryu player tries to stop a regular fireball with a super fireball and gets promptly smacked in the face with some plasma here. That's not a good look. Nominee number 3. I really don't know what this Gogi player was thinking. I really don't, the Chun was nowhere near being chipped, and it takes real skill to get that fireball to completely whiff. I think I have to try to do that. Nominee number 4. This is actually a pretty smart thing for the Dudley player to do. But then he fucks up to punish the Makoto player. This round, it had to be on the video because it's like, I don't know, just this sequence was really hilarious. And nominee number 5, dude. You guys need to learn to whiff punish, man. Look at this sort of string of errors, dude. This looks like it was choreographed. It's a whiff, no, block, whiff, whiff, whiff.
That's shardy.
It looked like a performance or something, Anyway, pick your favorite, guys, 1 through 5. I don't know. My personal favorite's number 4. What do you think, Vince? What do you think?
I kind of like that number 5, the no damage combo video.
The no damage combo video, the sort of third strike on ice.
Yeah.
That kind of did look like third strike on ice, yeah. So, before we get out of here, events. What are some events that that people like, if on the off chance that there are any third strike players in the Midwest area, that are interested in coming out, what are some events that they could sort of maybe kind of look forward to or mark in their calendar? Anything?
I think the only one that's like coming up is YumaCon.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually an anime con in right, but they have if you're from the Midwest, you might know Anthony Tokyo Attack. So it's a big anime con. They have a huge crazy game room full of like Japanese rhythm games and weird arcade games. And there's a big candy cab section, and I and the PGN guys will be there running Third Strike at that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, oh, you got it up there. Yeah, that's what it is. That place. That's the next like big thing. The other stuff is all like it just happened, so it's like all a year out. Michigan Masters, Mackay World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in the Midwest and you can drive to Cincinnati, there's a Cincinnati Facebook group and there's a Midwest Facebook group. And I think these get posted on both of those. So if you're in the Midwest group, Alpha Attack should be in there. And that's a Cincinnati local, and we also run Third Strike at that. But YumaCon will be like the next, like, probably the next, like, big Michigan thing.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you who are interested in going to YumaCon, all you have to do is go to yumacon.com. So YumaCon 2018, November 1st through 4th in downtown Detroit. Right?
Also, if you're in Cincinnati, hit me up. We'll go to the bar and play Third Strike.
Definitely. What is it about booze and Third Strike, man?
It's a power up.
They just fit so well together, don't they?
You can't play Third Strike sober. Don't do that. Unless you're underage, then definitely do that. I'm not condoning underage drinking.
No, definitely. We don't need any more trouble in the Third Strike scene. Definitely. So cool, man. Well, thanks, Vince, again for joining me on my podcast tonight. I really hope that you eventually make it out to Co-op Cup. Maybe, actually, interestingly enough, yeah, man. Like if you could construct a Midwest Third Strike Co-op Cup team. Who would be on that
Oh,
team? Come on,
like
give
I
it to
have
me.
to be on,
Do you have
or
to be
like
on
just
it? Well, I mean, I don't. It's your team, I guess. Like so,
like.
so you can be on it
um,
if you don't. You don't have to be on it if you don't want it to
Midwest.
be.
I would have to put. I'm not sure about the order. I'd have to think about that. It's 5v5, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely have to put Rick on it.
Okay. Own a guy.
This dude Shakib from Chicago, godlike Ken.
Uh huh.
Um, uh, who else on that? Probably. Well, Simon also plays Ken, so you can't put Simon on.
Well, remember you can have multiple.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
So.
Simon always wins all of our stuff, so I guess I have to put Simon on because he
Mhm.
wins.
How about
And
Adam from Chicago, aka
Adam.
God, what's I forgot his I
Is
keep
that
forgetting his handle.
Gary?
No, it starts with an S. His handle.
I don't know if I actually know Adam.
He was
I
in
mean, I
top
know of
eight.
him, but I
He
don't
was in
know if I
top eight at
actually
Combo
know him.
Breaker.
Was
Yeah.
that not Carrie? Or
No,
was
that
he just
wasn't
also
Carey.
in top eight?
Yeah, Carey was also in top eight. But I'm talking about
Hmm.
Adam. What was his name? What's his? I keep forgetting his handle. Who did he
I
lose
don't
to?
know.
I think he lost to Simon Yu. He lost to
Yeah, yeah.
Simon.
I don't know. I'd have to really think about that after those, but definitely those three.
Yeah.
Definitely Rick, Simon, and Shakib. I think would for sure be on it.
Awesome.
We might have to have a playoff for the last two spots.
Dude, that would be so hype.
We should do that. Everybody come to Combo Breaker, and we'll have
Mhm.
a regional 5v5. It'll be great.
Or you could do it at Yumacon.
Or Umicon, but I mean,
Decide who the 5 people that will then go on to Co-op Cup in Japan in January.
I would have said Kyo, but I don't think Louisiana counts as.
No. Kyo's kind of like he's a man with no region, like he's
Yeah.
kind of like he's really he really is Ryu. He kind of just travels from place to place, He's like Bruce Banner, like
Yeah.
in the 1970s Hulk show, right? Yeah. It's all right, guys. Well, thanks again for tuning in to the Mutant XPerience podcast. Before we get out of here, I wanted to go ahead and let everyone know about some events that are coming up in Brooklyn at iFix Machine and around the New York area. So first and foremost, Turbo Tuesday. I'm still kind of figuring out whether I want to make this an offline thing or just an online thing or maybe both. Tomorrow, if you're not busy, it's going to be the Dusty Knuckle Saloon. Our third iteration of the Dusty Knuckle Saloon. We're going to be running some random old fighting games, Samurai Showdown 2, Second Impact, and Rumblefish 2. So check that out tomorrow. It's going to be on Beast Stream. On Saturday, July 14th, which also happens to be the day that a certain Third Strike streamer was born, but I'm not going to mention any names. There's a Tekken Tag Tournament going on at IFM, so check that out. On July 6th, next Friday, Road to Defend the North. We're going to be running single tournaments for ST, Alpha 2, and Third Strike. And the winner of each of those tournaments are going to get free entry into this Retro Night at Defend the North 2018. Remember, Defend the North is on July 20th to 22nd. And on the 20th, we're going to be running just old man games. And remember, the non-sponsored player who places the highest at Defend the North gets a free ride to Canada Cup. Today is your last day to register for Defend the North before the price increases. So if you're in the area and you're thinking about, entering Third Strike, definitely check that out. And of course, the main event next July, same weekend as Defend the North, random select at IFM, Arcade Third Strike. And so definitely check that out. All right, so once again, guys, thanks for watching the Mutant XPerience podcast, and thanks to my guest tonight, Monoxide, aka Vince. Appreciate the time, Vince. Really glad that we were able to talk. You're always welcome back anytime you want to plug something. And so, until next time, guys, I'll see you guys later. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye.